Daniel Coker, 1780–1846, was a significant figure in American history, known for his work as a minister, missionary, and abolitionist. Born in Maryland, Coker became one of the earliest African Americans to travel to Africa and establish a Christian mission. His efforts contributed to the history of African American freedom, religious life, and the development of Liberia, an important chapter in the African diaspora. Early life and background. Daniel Coker was born into slavery in 1780 in Maryland. As a child of enslaved parents, his early life was marked by the harsh realities of slavery. While the exact date of his birth is not definitively known, historical records suggest it was around 1780. Despite the oppression of slavery, Coker was fortunate in that he had the opportunity to learn to read and write. This was an uncommon privilege for slaves at the time, as literacy was often prohibited among enslaved populations. The ability to read and write would prove to be a key asset in his later life and mission work. Coker's early exposure to Christianity played a pivotal role in shaping his future. He was introduced to the religion through the Methodist Church, and his conversion to Christianity would influence much of his life's work. He became deeply religious, and by the early 1800s, he had taken the decision to become a preacher, an important and courageous move for an African American man in the early 19th century. Missionary work and abolitionist activity. By the early 1800s, Daniel Coker had become an active member of the African Methodist Episcopal, AME, Church. The church had been founded in 1816 by Richard Allen and other African American clergy, and it quickly became a central institution for African Americans seeking religious and social freedom. Coker's role in the AME Church was significant. He became a preacher, and his charismatic leadership helped to spread the faith among African American communities, particularly in the southern United States. As a preacher, Coker's mission extended beyond religious boundaries. He also became involved in the abolitionist movement. He was committed to challenging the systemic injustices that enslaved African Americans and believed that liberation, both spiritual and physical, was essential for Black Americans. Coker preached that freedom was a right that all people should enjoy, and he often incorporated anti-slavery rhetoric into his sermons. His religious leadership and advocacy for abolition led him to make an important decision in 1820. After becoming a leader in the AME Church, Coker was selected to travel to Africa as part of the church's missionary initiative. This mission had the dual purpose of spreading Christianity and helping African Americans escape the horrors of slavery in the United States. Liberia and the founding of African colonization. In 1820, Coker traveled to Liberia as part of the American Colonization Society's efforts to create a colony for free African Americans and formerly enslaved individuals. The society had been established with the goal of resettling free blacks in Africa, away from the discrimination and oppression they faced in the United States. Coker saw this as an opportunity to both spread Christianity and provide African Americans with a place where they could live freely, away from the oppressive racial environment of the United States. Upon arriving in Liberia, Coker became one of the first African American missionaries to establish a significant presence there. He worked tirelessly to build churches, schools, and hospitals, aiming to spread Christianity and education to the indigenous people of Liberia. His work was not without challenges. Liberia was a dangerous environment, plagued by disease and political instability. Despite these hardships, Coker remained determined to build a thriving Christian community. Coker's work in Liberia was not solely focused on the Christianization of the local population. He also advocated for the rights of African Americans and played a key role in the development of the new colony. Coker's impact was especially significant in the formation of the social and political structure of Liberia. His work helped to ensure that African Americans had a stake in the governance of the country, and his vision for Liberia as a land of freedom and opportunity for African Americans persisted long after his death. Later years and legacy. Coker's health began to decline in the mid-1830s, and after spending years in Liberia, he eventually returned to the United States. During his later years, he continued his religious and abolitionist work, advocating for the rights of African Americans and fighting against slavery. He remained active in the AME Church, continuing his role as a preacher and leader. Coker also worked to promote the idea of colonization, advocating for the establishment of Liberia as a safe haven for African Americans. Daniel Coker passed away in 1846, but his legacy has endured. He is remembered as a pioneering figure in the fight for African American freedom, both in the United States and in Africa. Coker's life and work were instrumental in the development of the AME Church and the African American colonization movement, and his contributions to the founding of Liberia and the spread of Christianity in Africa continue to be celebrated today. His role in the abolitionist movement and the establishment of Liberia as a refuge for free blacks is a testament to his commitment to the cause of freedom. Coker's life represents the intersection of religious, political, and social change during a time of immense racial tension in the United States. His work as a missionary, preacher, and abolitionist helped to shape the early history of Liberia, and his legacy continues to inspire those committed to the cause of freedom and equality.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe our channel.